Oh, what's good, Commanders fans? Once again, I just want to say happy birthday to my son. He just turned 4. He's a Commanders fan, of course. He has no choice. He is a Wizards fan as well. He has no choice. But he turned 4 today. So shout out to him. I thank you guys for wishing him a happy birthday. There's a picture of us at the Commanders draft day party. That was a lot of fun. He had a blast, and we went to a Wizards game before too. Shout out to my guy Brandon Scott. We went to the Wizards game. My co-host from the Locked On Wizards, Brandon, went to the Rockets game. He had a blast at the game too, so he's already big into DC sports already. Like I said, he has no choice. So shout out to him, and thank you guys once again for commenting and wishing him a happy birthday. So just want to shout my son out for sure before we get started. So this is going to be, of course, stock up, or well, really 5 players who stood out. Is always more than 5, but players who stood out in week 2 of training camp, and then also we'll do a little bit of stock up and stock down for sure. So let's start off with stock up. Mason Brooks, man. I mean, we've heard nothing but good things from this guy. Went to Ole Miss, undrafted, a high priority undrafted free agent center. I'm sorry, he plays guard, but he can play center. He has positional flex that Ron Rivera loves. They did have a top 30 visit with Mason Brooks as well. In the process, he played in the SEC, has played against Fedarian Mathis in the past, and this guy basically dominated Fedarian Mathis in one-on-ones. Also, Linnell Willingham said Mason Brooks continuing to stand out in one-on-ones versus in one-on-ones. F.A. Obata had no answer for him, and F.A. Obata has been in the league for a little while, man. F.A. Obata is a solid pass rusher. He's a good defensive tackle and a good defensive end in this league, and Mason Brooks has just been as strong as an ox, standing up guys, and basically standing his ground on these one-on-one drills and dominating Fedarian Mathis, second-round pick out of Alabama. Now, this is what John Keim had to say about Mason Brooks, and I guess we'll do a little stock down. Raiden Daniel, I'm not going to say stock down for Raiden Daniels. I'm going to just say he's a developing player, but every time John Keim talks about Raiden Daniels, basically says that Raiden Daniels is not going to touch the field this year. And basically, Linnell Willingham from 106.7 The Fan also said that Raiden Daniels should be a guard. He did play tackle at Utah, but he's kind of small and skinny. He is athletic and explosive, but he's just small, and basically he does have to gain some weight to get stronger. So basically, I don't want to say stock down, but it looks like Raiden Daniels is not going to play this year, to be honest. And Mason Brooks, man, I think he needs to make this roster. I think he's going to make the roster. If not make the roster, he will put on a jersey this year and suit up sometime. If he doesn't make the 53, they might steal him, kind of like how we stole John Ridgeway from the Cowboys. I think if we release him and he doesn't make the team, then I think a team will try to pick him up on waivers for sure. So they got to be careful with Mason Brooks. So his stock has certainly risen. Juan Castillo was hyped over Mason Brooks and dominated Fedarian Mathis. Ben Stanley also said UDFA regard Mason Brooks beat Fedarian Mathis with such aplomb that Juan Castillo started jumping for joy. The other players immediately called for a rematch. Brooks put Fedarian Mathis on the ground. So it was to the point where Fedarian Mathis was face down at one point. That's what Zach Selby said. Yeah, he was a solid player who might get overlooked because he only spent 1 season in the SEC, but he has looked better with more opportunities. Talking about Mason Brooks, has salary where he shut down Fedarian Mathis, and somebody said that Fedarian Mathis was face down on the ground after the reps and after the drills against Mason Brooks. So that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Another guy, a sleeper, Bryson Tremaine out of Stanford. So Jamal from the Talk or Trap or Die podcast, it's on YouTube and on iTunes as well. He said 89 have himself a day, 2 tough contested catches, 1 for a tutty with good body control, has pretty good ball skills. In these videos, I try to talk about the low-key guys, not the popular guys like Emmanuel Force and Terry McLaurin. I try to talk about the second and third string guys that are making a name for themselves. So Bryson Tremaine is that guy, another UDFA. And Zach Selby also said 13 offense ends, 2-minute drills with a touchdown. Jake Fromm to Bryson Tremaine. Mason Kinahan, shout out to him with the Keeping Up with Commanders podcast. I'll be on his podcast pretty soon. Next Sunday, he's been taking a lot of videos, and he shows a lot of clips of Bryson Tremaine. I'm not going to put up clips today, but Bryson Tremaine had a heck of a day one day. I think it was like day 7 or day 8. Emmanuel Force is another guy that stood out. Matt Paris said that Emmanuel Force continues to have great anticipation for the football. As much talk as there is about him producing turnovers, his ability to disrupt plays stands out even more, in my opinion. Also, Ben Sanders said Emmanuel Force with a second pass deflection today while covering Terry McLaurin. However, he hobbled to the sideline after the play, getting checked out, now slowly walking away. So, and also Nikki Javala said that Ben St. Juste and Emmanuel Force have had a great camp so far, and they have certainly stood out. So Emmanuel Force has made some good plays. He has done a good job against Terry. Now, yes, he has gotten beat a few times, but he's been there. He's been there every play. and he's been in the vicinity. So he's done a good job going up against Terry McLaurin, getting past deflections. Ron Rivera has raved and said really good things about him. So Emmanuel Force is another guy that stood out again this camp. So moving on, another guy is Cody Barton. Cody Barton, the linebacker that we picked up from the Seahawks. Cody Barton got into it with Nick Gates, threw a couple punches. He did get an interception last week, and then also him and Jamin Davis have grown somewhat of a chemistry so far. So Zach Selby said, defense getting hyped up to start team drills. Jamin Davis and Cody Barton just celebrated a stop for a minimal gain. And also Ben Stanek talked about how he likes Cody Barton a lot. Cody Barton has certainly stood out and made some big plays here and there. Ben Stanek says, I have liked what I've seen from Cody Barton, particularly filling run lanes. He just smashed Curtis Samuel shy of the goal line, keeping it out of the end zone. Then he proceeded to let out a loud, maniacal-sounding chuckle. So Cody Barton has definitely made his presence felt. Did get an interception last week, but this week he's definitely been a run stuffer and a run stopper, and he's been making some noise. He will be the Mike linebacker replacing Cole Holcomb. Did have a good year against the Seahawks last year, so I'm intrigued to see what Cody Barton brings to the table this year. So another guy on the list, excuse me, that I have, Ben St. Juste and Emmanuel Force. I'll kind of just group them together. John Keim. Ben St. Juste has been playing really, really well. He stood out. He's had an awesome camp. He just has to stay healthy. He did get a nice interception against Sam Howell, and he was taunting. He stood over Cole Turner yesterday and pissed off Terry McLaurin. But competition is a part of the game. You are going to trash talk. You are going to do some things where you don't have to do an Allen Iverson step over somebody disrespectfully like Allen Iverson did to Tyronn Lue. You don't have to call your quarterback and tell him to shut his B word up, like Trayvon Diggs to Dak Prescott. But I do like the fire that Ben St. Juste is bringing. He's going to be playing on the outside next to Emmanuel Forbes. There's going to be times where it's going to be Forbes and Fuller, or Fuller and Ben St. Juste, or, Ben St. Juste has been playing in the slot. So wherever they asked him to play so far, he's been doing really, really well in training camp so far. So John Keim has done nothing but rave about how good Ben St. Juste has been, but he's just got to stay healthy. And I like how he got an interception there. I want to see him do that in the games too, And it's not always about getting interceptions and forcing turnovers. He should have had the interception against the Vikings against Justin Jefferson, but they called it back. It is what it is on that. But I think Ben St. Juste is going to have a good season. Talk about how he watched film and OTAs. He watches Sauce Gardner, Jair Alexander. He watches the top corners from last year and does that to improve his game. So I like what I've heard about him from him. Is there anybody else? Mason Brooks, Bryson Tremaine, Cody Barton, and Brian Pringle had a 40-yard catch from Jacoby Brissett. He's been running with the twos. He's been running with the ones. So you got to watch out for him. He's been doing kick returns. Hasn't been doing punt returns from what I've heard. He might have been doing punt returns. I gotta get some more insight on that. But he's been doing kick returns, and he had a really nice catch. He had a really nice route against Emmanuel Force where he kind of just bided him and boxed him out. Had a nice catch and ran a really nice route. So he's showing off the speed already. So Brian Pringle had a really nice 40-yard catch going up against Jeremy Reeves. And Jeremy Reeves is a solid safety in this league and has had a lot of reps at the safety position as well. So that's about it, guys. And the offensive line, once again, is a concern, but we'll see how they gel and how they mesh. And Sam Howell, you just got to have patience with him. He's had up and down days, but once again, he's only had one start in the league. So you got to have a lot of patience. They're going to be growing pains. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to have some really nice passes. A lot of people say that he looks a lot better than Carson Wentz, which is not saying much in training camp, and that his deep ball is very accurate. And I like watching him on the move. He's had some really nice passes to Jahan on the move, passes to Diami on the move. So I want to see some rollouts, some RPOs for Sam Howell. And I think Airbnb is definitely going to try to do that. So, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think about the standouts, if there's anybody else. And then Sadiq Charles, Chris Paul has been a standout. I would say stock up for Chris Paul. He has been starting, and there's a rumor that a lot of people in the building believe that he is the best guard on the roster. So Sadiq Charles, with that calf injury, he's missed a couple practices, and he's had an injury. He's had a history of being injured. So Chris Paul's stock has gone up. He may be the day one starter at left guard unless they go out and get a guy like Dalton Risner, which I highly doubt. That's not a Ron Rivera kind of move. So, all right, you guys let me know what you guys think about the standouts. If there's anybody else that you thought stood out that I missed, definitely comment down below, and we'll be talking about practice tomorrow, most likely late in the day. They practice in the morning, but I probably won't be able to make a video until later that day or that night. Hail to the Commanders. Peace.